African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of July 16, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue to conduct a special military operation. Units of the Northern Group of Forces improved their tactical position, defeated the manpower and equipment of 2 mechanized, airborne assault brigades, an assault regiment and an airborne assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements of Kondratovka, Bytitsa, and Varakino in the Sumy region. In the Kharkiv direction, units of the Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and the Territorial Defense Brigade in the areas of the settlements of Volchansk and Cheganivka of the Kharkiv region were defeated. The Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 180 servicemen, 3 armored combat vehicles, 4 vehicles, and 3 artillery pieces. 4 material depots were destroyed. Units of the Group of Forces West improved the situation along the front line, defeated the formations of 2 mechanized brigades, an assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Bogoslavka, Petrovka, Kupiansk, and Druzhlyavka of the Kharkiv region. That the enemy's losses amounted to more than 220 servicemen, 19 vehicles, and 2 artillery pieces. 2 electronic warfare stations and 5 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the Southern Group of Forces continued offensive operations, defeating the manpower and equipment of 2 mechanized, airmobile, motorized infantry brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Pleshchivka, Seversk, Ivanopoly, Novoselovka, and Dranovka of the Donetsk People's Republic. That the enemy lost up to 160 servicemen, 2 cars, and 3 artillery pieces. 3 ammunition depots and a fuel depot were destroyed. Units of the Center Group of Forces continued their offensive into the depth of the enemy's defenses. They defeated the formations of 4 mechanized, airborne assault, Jaeger brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 Marine brigades, and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements of Novokhatskoye, Yablanovka, Muravka, Petrovskoye, Stepanovka, Nakanorovka, and Novopavlovka of the Donetsk People's Republic. That the losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to up to 425 servicemen, 2 armored combat vehicles, 3 vehicles, and 3 artillery pieces. Units of the East Troop Group liberated the settlement of Novokhatskoye in the Donetsk People's Republic as a result of successful offensive actions. Damage inflicted on personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a Marine brigade in the areas of the settlements Volnoypol, Novopol in the Donetsk People's Republic, and Timurivka in the Zaporizhzhia region. That the Armed Forces of Ukraine lost up to 200 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 9 cars, a field artillery gun, and an electronic warfare station. Units of the Dnieper Troop Group improved their tactical position and inflicted damage on formations of a mechanized brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Kamenskoye in the Zaporizhzhia region and Ochakov in the Mykolaiv region. Up to 70 servicemen, 12 vehicles, 8 electronic warfare stations, 5 ammunition depots, and a supply warehouse were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces troop groups inflicted damage on enterprises of the military-industrial and fuel energy complex of Ukraine used in the interests of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, as well as on temporary deployment points of Ukrainian formations in 148 areas. Destroyed were 2 launchers, a guidance point, and a combat control cabin of the S-300 PS anti-aircraft missile system and an Israeli-made RADA radar station. The Russian Aerospace Forces shot down a MiG-29 aircraft of the Ukrainian Air Force. Air defense means shot down 4 guided aerial bombs and 178 aircraft-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 664 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 69,771 unmanned aerial vehicles, 619 anti-aircraft missile systems, 24,226 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,577 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 27,406 field artillery guns and mortars, 38,241 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.